It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 5 films released on September 25th, 2009, as we wrap the month up. And, I'd like to call this week, hey, remember this? Because, let's be honest, 3 out of the 5 movies we have here are movies that are complete rip-offs of films that you might be very familiar with. And it starts off with the, biggest new release of the weekend, but, yeah, this was not a big hit by any means necessary. And you're going to see why just a little bit. See if you can figure out what kind of stuff you've seen before in this clip I have here from the movie Surrogates. Gross. Why? First of all, why did you take this part? But most importantly, why the fuck did you put on that hairpiece? I mean, Jesus Christ, that looked awful. This is like the 3rd or 4th film we've looked at in the last couple of years with Bruce Willis, and where he's had a god-awful wig on, and that may be the worst of the worst. I don't care if it's an android. That still looks fucking horrible. And, yeah, a little bit of Total Recall there, a little bit of Enemy of the State. I mean, it's a little bit of, I guess a little bit of RoboCop 2, and, you know, a little bit of the Terminator. Not RoboCop 2, but just RoboCop in general, and the Terminator, which, coincidentally, this is written by some of the people behind the Terminator movies of late. Jonathan Mastal did Rise of the Machines. John Brancato and Michael Ferris did Salvation, which was the much better Terminator movie. And again, Rise of the Machines is pretty good, too, but, this is a movie where you have Bruce Willis starring as an FBI agent who ventures out into the real world to investigate the murder of surrogates, humanoid, remote-controlled robots. I even go as far to say a little bit of Gattaca in here, because basically the main concept is, you know, as Wikipedia says, centers on the mysterious murder of a college student linked to the man who helped to create a high-tech surrogate phenomenon that allows people to purchase remote-controlled humanoid robots through which they interact with society. These fit, attractive, remote-controlled robots ultimately assume their life roles, enabling people to experience life vicariously through the comfort and safety of their own homes. So there's also a little bit of Ready Player One in there, too, if you even want to go that far. So there's just all these different sci-fi movies coming together in here, and it just doesn't work. This is based off of a comic book series of the same name, and of all people, Elizabeth Banks was one of the producers on this movie, too, so... Not that you could really tell it's her that she's on there. I mean, there's much better Elizabeth Banks productions out there, like Pitch Perfect 2 and Cocaine Bear, but this certainly is not one of those movies. It's a film that it's just so bland and so forgettable, and it's hard to take it seriously when you see Bruce Willis with that god-awful wig. And, I mean, like I said, I know he's supposed to be an android in there, and he's being controlled, and he's not like that in the real world, but it's just like, come on, man. Like, I don't care. Like, it still looks terrible, man. And Bruce Willis deserves a lot better than this, man. And just the fact that he was just taking these really bad projects one after another. Honestly, kind of like with Jennifer Aniston last time with Love Happens, that terrible movie that we looked at. Bruce Willis should be doing this at his age. Like, that time has come where, you know, he wants to be the big action star overall. Just like, no, that time has passed, man. I mean, I know you're still doing the Die Hard movies around this point, but it's like, you gotta move on from that, man. And just, I don't think he really moved on from that, honestly. I mean, he was still doing direct-to-DVD movies up until he retired, and it's just like, he's too good of an actor to be involved in bad movies like that, and a bad movie like this, because, yeah, it's not worth it. The action isn't really that good, the visuals aren't that great, that hair, good lord, just, the people involved in this movie deserve a whole lot better. You, as an audience, deserves better than this movie right here, so that is Surrogates, and let's go ahead and move on to the next movie. Moving on to another movie that you might see a little bit of familiarity to it, but at least with this one, yeah, I don't know what the hell they were thinking marketing this next movie as that. That's one of the many, many problems with this movie, because, good lord, first of all, why Harry Potter? I mean, you could make the argument that, oh, they did it because the movie just came out, and it's just like, you know, all these different aspects of, you know, learning how to fly, magic, and all that type of stuff, and it's just like, no, you can't compare Harry Potter to fame. You only did that because Harry Potter is a successful franchise, and you're trying to compare that to this movie here, which you can't even compare yourself to the original Fame. You know what this movie is? This is if Ryan Murphy made a Glee version of Fame. That's what this movie is, because they took the movie Fame, and took its dark overtones. That, yeah, it has the great dance music and all, but it's a cold hard reality of the trials and tribulations you have to go to get popular, become famous. And yeah, you have to do some things that you don't really want to do to get famous, as that movie showed. But not in this movie. It's all happy. It's like everything that happens is gonna be magical. It's just like there are no consequences whatsoever. It's another one of those movies where you follow talented high school students attending the high school performing arts in New York City, where students get specialized training that often leads to success in the entertainment industry. And the fact that Debbie Allen, the original star of the original film, is back in this movie, and she said yes to this, just... like, this movie is a disaster, man. Like, this isn't even a movie. This is a television series, because you go through all these different years of high school. You have the auditions. You have then you go to freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, and then it ends with graduation. And it's just like, this isn't a movie. This is a television series that was originally supposed to be 13 episodes and then chopped down because they wanted to make a movie off of this to cash in on the success of Glee, which was just coming on the air at that time. And yeah, this is exactly like that. It's Moana 2, pretty much. They took what could have been. I'm guaranteeing you we all know that Moana 2 was originally the script for the Moana TV series, but I'm more than willing to bet you that this was supposed to be a famed television series, and then they chopped it down and made it into a movie. And yeah, the results speak for themselves. It's a bland, lazy, uneventful remake of a really good movie from the 1980s, even with its big cast it has in here. This thing, too good of a cast. Too good of a cast, just like with the last movie. Debbie Allen, Charles Dutton, Kelsey Grammer, Megan Mullally, Bebe Neuwirth, Notori Naughton, Kay Panabaker. You've got Frasier and Lilith. I've watched Frasier so many times. How do I not know who Frasier's ex-wife was? You have Frasier and Lilith in this movie, and you do nothing with them at all. Just like everybody in this movie deserves better than this. We deserve a better Fame reboot than this regurgitated pile of garbage that is basically just a teeny bot version of Fame, because the people that saw this movie clearly did not see the original Fame and the intentions of what that movie was supposed to be about. This thing, just... the more I think about it, it just makes me uncomfortable to think about it, because just like, I hate this movie so much. I hate this movie, especially considering that the original Fame is such a good movie that does not pull the curtains back and tell you that everything's going to be okay. It's just like, no, we're going to show you the hard times of what it takes to be famous, but not this movie. No, it's a happy-go-lucky time all across the board. It's just like, no, it is not. So yeah, I think you can pretty much get the idea to avoid Fame like the plague. So let's go ahead and move on to the third and final film of the, hey, sounds familiar territory or looks familiar territory. Just see how many other sci-fi movies you can get from this next film we have here. I mean, pretty much every single Alien knockoff, including the original Alien. Yeah, this is another one of those movies that, I mean, I guess Paul W.S. Anderson isn't the director on here, but he is one of the producers on here. So technically what I said last week counts, but stop me if you've heard this plot before. Two crew members are stranded on a spacecraft and quickly and horrifically realize they are not an alien. I'm not even going to be able to finish this because it's friggin' Alien again. It's Alien. It's The Thing, it's Event Horizon, it's Daybreakers, it's every single Alien knockoff that you could think of, except nowhere near as good as the original Alien, because nothing could ever be the original Alien, no matter how hard you try. Except for Aliens, of course, James Cameron's Aliens, but at the same time, but with this, it's literally Alien all over again. Like, what do people not understand that we do not want to see the same movie over and over and over again? Give us something new and original. There is nothing new and original in this movie at all. Nothing about this movie works. Does not have a good cast. If Dennis Quaid and Ben Foster are your biggest stars in a movie in 2009, movie's not good. The movie is not good at all. Nobody in this movie seemed like they cared about this film whatsoever. This felt like an obligation by the studio Overture Films, because they need their big sci-fi film. I mean, they need a film of every genre to prove that they're for reals, y'all. And no, they are not for reals at all. And I got nothing else for you. This is a bad movie. Pandorum, just avoid it. But hey, maybe Overture Films can get it right with the second film they have this weekend, because they have two films out. This is the documentary Michael Moore directed, Capitalism, A Love Story. Easily a much better film than Pandorum was, but maybe not one of Michael Moore's better documentaries. Mostly, the focus of this one mostly is on the 2008 financial crisis and the recovery stimulus, while putting forward an indictment of the then current economic order of the United States and of unfettered capitalism in general. Topics including Wall Street's casino mentality, for-profit prisons, Goldman Sachs' influence in Washington, D.C., the poverty-level wages of many workers, the large wave of home foreclosures, corporate-owned life insurances, and the consequences of runaway greed. The film also features a religious component in which Moore explains whether or not capitalism is a sin, or whether Jesus would be a capitalist. This component highlights Moore's belief that evangelical conservatives contradict themselves by supporting free market ideals while professing to be Christians. Again, he's not wrong on that front, and like I said, this is a good Michael Moore documentary. Maybe not as good as some of his other ones in particular, Sicko and Fahrenheit 9/11, or Bowling for Columbine, or Roger and Me, but this is definitely a movie where it does work. It's a film that very much is a very good, well-made film that has a lot of good intentions to it, and trying to show everybody that, there's a lot of problems with our government. I mean, even with Barack Obama in the White House at this point, there are still a lot of problems that need to be addressed in general, and the film does a pretty good job of, telling you the problems that we need to hear, and it's just like, yeah, it delivers what it promises. It's a good example of how Michael Moore works as a documentary filmmaker, although I will say the next couple of films after this are not anywhere near as good as some of his great work. So this is kind of like with Oliver Stone, except Oliver Stone really just fell off completely after this point. But Michael Moore still would make movies that are tolerable, but feel like they kind of are just retreads of stuff he's covered before. But this is the last one I remember actually do kind of enjoying a lot more than his later films overall. But like I said, it's the weaker of his films up to this point, but still, it delivers what it needs to. It's Michael Moore doing what Michael Moore does best, so take that for what you will. But all four of these movies here is pale in comparison to the movie that really took a lot of people by surprise. The last film we have here, easily the biggest release that would have a big impact later on down the road. Even though it opened in limited release this weekend, nobody really could have predicted how successful Paranormal Activity would be. Ah, yes, the movie that introduced us to the found footage genre craze that would later take up most horror movies for the next 10 years and beyond. And get used to that audience reaction shot, because you're going to be seeing it in every single trailer for Paranormal Activity from this point going forward, and other horror movies in general. They try to make you feel like, that's real people's reaction, even though it's probably from another movie in general, not even related to the movie at hand. I mean, I just saw a trailer today for Final Destination Bloodlines where they did the same damn thing. They had a horror reaction, an audience reaction. Everyone is, there's a cameraman somewhere. This is probably set in a studio where the director was just like, okay, we need you to pretend like you're actually scared of something. You have to have this scared look on your face, like that, or just like, like. Okay, do that action, and then everyone just goes like, and it's just like, perfect. We have a trailer. I mean, this is kind of where it all began right here, and a movie that certainly has a very interesting history behind it. But the simple, complex story is you have a young couple, played by Katie Featherston and Micah Sloat, who play themselves in the movie, who are haunted by a supernatural presence inside their home. They then set up a camera to document what is haunting them, and the film uses found footage conventions that were mirrored in the later films in the series. And his idea is, he's going to put all these multiple cameras, he's going to put these cameras all across the, actually, is it just for, he puts a couple in this one here. He puts a couple all across the house, and so, they get an idea of what's going on in there. And it's a movie where I feel like if you have to be in the same kind of wavelength as something like a Skinamarink, it's either going to be something where you're going to really appreciate it for the fact that it's a slow burn movie, or you're going to hate it because nothing really happens. But the only reason I like Skinamarink is because I've had nightmares like that movie has, where you can't tell what the hell's going on, but it's like, that you can't do anything about it, and you see these slow, creepy images coming at you. Like, for me personally, that movie worked. But here, this one does it pretty well too. I mean, yeah, you get you get a sense that, yeah, you're not going to be able to see everything that you want to see in here, but you have to realize that it's a slow burn movie, and you have to realize that this is before they made this the franchise that it was. So this is a one-off movie, and it did a pretty good job of doing what it needed to do to scare the living bejesus out of people, and it works. It's a terrifying film, especially the climax of the movie. Like, the lowest, is everything that you can do here that is very much, don't move it as much, don't do it too much, and it just works to a T, and I think this one does it very well here. And it works because you do buy the main characters. You can buy that they're a real-life couple in real life. And kind of like with the Blair Witch Project, you don't know that these are actors overall. This could easily be something where, it's something where it could be seen as real life in general. And it does work. It does get some legitimately chilling moments in there. And yeah, you do feel a lot of sympathy for the people involved in here. But the story behind this movie was actually really interesting. It was originally developed as an independent feature, which it was. And it was actually filmed, I believe, in 2007, I believe it was. It was released in 2007, originally, I don't know, maybe I thought maybe it was something before that, but in 2007 it was shown at film festivals, and it was shot for only $15,000, and it was then picked up by Paramount Pictures, who basically wanted them to modify it with a new ending to it that cost an additional $200,000, because in the original ending of the movie, it's supposed to be shown that, after Katie kills Micah, she ends up going back, she ends up, 30 minutes, the police, she runs away in panic, and, two policemen enter the house, reach the bedroom where they find the possessed Katie with the knife, and seeing them, she returns to her normal slate and asks about Micah, and after the attic door slams by itself, one of the officers panics and shoots and kills her. The camera then fades to black as the police officers continue to search the house for the source of the sound, and an epilogue text appears dedicating the film to the memory of Micah and Katie. Now, that was only an ending they showed at the 2007 Film Festival, but then the new alternate ending that they threw in here was one where, Micah gets killed off screen, Katie comes back upstairs like she does in the original ending, closes and locks the bedroom door, approaches the camera, promptly slits her throat before collapsing dead, and then that's how the movie ends. But of course we all know that in the film that was released in theaters, we find out that, it's finally it's the last night. Katie goes downstairs screaming for Micah, and then you hear all these loud thuds, and then Micah's body's hurled at the camera, and then it's revealed that Katie has basically been possessed by whatever spirit is haunting them, and that's how the film ends. So all three of those endings don't set up a sequel overall, and yeah, it really did get a lot of people's attention. This was only given a limited release in September of 2009, but then slowly but surely, something happened where, just like with the Blair Witch Project, it was a film that just people kept talking about it, and then not but 1 week after it came out, it started making a ton more money than a lot of people were expecting it to. In fact, let me get the numbers here, because, where is it? There it is. So yeah, it starts off with a $77,000 opening in the small number of theaters that it had, but then it jumped back up again to $500,000 in 33 theaters, which is like a $16,000 average per screen. The next week, it just jumped up again to $7.5 million, to near $8 million in 160 theaters. This thing ended up making $60,000 if you count the 4-day numbers for the holiday weekend in 160 theaters, and that's unprecedented. But then following that, the week after that, it got a 600 theater push, and then it made over $19 million. And then the next week after that, the week before Halloween, it was the #1 movie in the country with $21 million, finally getting the wide release, and it already had brought in $61 million, and it kept going and going. Like, this thing made a lot of money, and nobody was really expecting it. Not Paramount Pictures, not anybody. Like, they really were thinking that nobody really had any idea that this thing was going to have a life of its own, and it just paid off big time, and it really did lead into this new generation of low-budget horror movies, which could be a good thing, but most of them ended up not being that great, especially films like The Devil Inside, Chernobyl Diaries, what's the other one? The Apparition. These movies here, we get some good ones every once in a while. You get something like A Last Exorcism, or something like, we had one recently that was actually pretty good. I can't remember what it was, but But yeah, but this would become the new norm in terms of the genre of the horror movies for the 2010s. I mean, this is a movie that was pretty much a game changer, and certainly the next Halloween, it was going after a very big target, and that was the Saw franchise, which was kind of veering out of it. I mean, most people were kind of getting tired of the Saw movies, and Paranormal Activity came in and swept in and just basically took over from there, became the next great Halloween tradition for a couple of years. So yeah, this film really did have a lot of things that nobody really saw coming at all, and it just became a massive success overall. It's a great movie. It's a really good movie that it's a slow burn movie, but it works to get you terrified. It works because you really do believe in the characters, and it works because you get so invested in how this is going to end, how it's going to transpire at the end. And more importantly, of all things, keep in mind, this was a Jason Blum production. This was the movie that basically started the Jason Blum empire. Blumhouse Pictures started because of Paranormal Activity's success overall. So yeah, this thing was a big game changer for the horror movie scene in general, how horror films were going to go in the 2010s. I mean, this is a movie that really changed everything. And at least for the first couple of movies, it got better and better from there. And then, not surprisingly after that, it did kind of peter out. But we'll continue this journey along with the Paranormal Activity movies over the next 6 years, because that's how long we're going to have with these movies in general. So anyway, not much more to say about that one. It's Paranormal Activity. What more can you honestly say about this one? And so with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and we wrap up September, going into October next time around, with 5 more movies, and 5 really good movies overall. We have Zombieland, starring Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, and Woody Harrelson. We have the re-releases of 2 classic movies, Toy Story and Toy Story 2, in Disney Digital 3D to help boost up the release of the upcoming Toy Story 3. We have Ricky Gervais starring in The Invention of Lying, Drew Barrymore's directorial debut Whip It starring Ellen Page, and the new film from the Coen brothers, A Serious Man. So we'll take a look at all 5 of those movies coming up tomorrow on the show. Going to be a real good show overall. Got a lot of good movies on that one. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell, because that's where you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.